court accepts the existence of God every time a witness swears to tell the truth. I think it's about time they accept the existence of the devil.
You okay there? Jesus.
I think I hurt someone.
In 1981, Arnie Johnson pled not guilty.
We think this family was cursed.
By reason of demonic possession.
I am not going before a grand jury and saying he was possessed by demons.
Whatever happened that day, that was not Arnie.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast That Wouldn't Die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron. Whoop, whoop. This week, we'll be discussing the new classic. I don't know. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Starring Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga. I think that's about it. Other working actors.
Other people, exactly.
Other individuals. Hard to say.
I gotta tell you, I love those two together. Unfortunately, I do not love this movie.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, Aaron was dissatisfied, which was too bad because the first two were bang.
Well,
bang.
I thought the first one was bang, bang. I thought the second one was not as good. I think this one's probably the worst of the bunch.
This is definitely... No, I didn't see any of the lesser Conjuring.
I haven't either.
I refuse. But I will tell you, I was
don't refuse, but...
I refuse. I'm not seeing any damn Annabelle, Bride of Chucky, or whatever. I'm waiting for that spinoff.
There you go.
I was literally at a thing yesterday, and I mean, I watched this at home on HBO. There were other people at the party who saw it at the theater.
Okay.
And thought it was fantastic. So my esteem for them dropped considerably.
Oh, that was it. They're out.
They're out. They were always suspect, but now they're definitely out.
Why don't you give us the 30-second synopsis of The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It?
All right. Exorcism going on. Never say, get inside me, save this little kid, take me instead. Never say, take me instead.
I'm trying to envision anybody that would do that.
No, take me instead. So, of course, guess what? They did. Bad shit starts happening. There's funky business under the crawl space of the house where, holy hell. And then, and by the way, I also have an older home, so I have a crawl space under the house.
Uh-oh, don't go under there.
Oh, Madonna. So then there's supposed to be some kind of, the priest's daughter is a witch, and she's summoning a demon for something, and they all shut it down. The end. Yawn. Although I will tell you this, I had this horrible dream that I had accidentally killed Bobo and decided just to hide the body under my floor in my bedroom. It was the worst dream I ever had, and it made no sense. But
you just had this dream?
I had this dream 2 days ago
after
watching this movie. And I don't know why, it made no sense. I put his body in what looked like one of those Tupperware sandwich containers, but body side. My dreams are very specific.
For the listening audience, Bobo is not a circus chimp. Bobo is a nickname for our little brother, which I'm sure he's listening and wondering, what the hell? Why do I get murdered and shoved in Tupperware?
It was so weird. Uncle George was like, I know what you did. It was like, I know what you did last summer.
Uncle George is in this too.
It was very elaborate.
Oh, God, help me.
But anyway, I'm sure this is directly related to the weird witchy poo, I don't know, creep thing that they put under the house.
Right.
So now I feel like I need to get my son with a flashlight to go under the house to see if there's anything under my bedroom.
Do you feel cursed?
Sometimes I feel cursed. I'll tell you that. There are times. I just want to make sure there's not some John Wayne Gacy action going on underneath my house.
I don't know if I would want to know that, frankly. It's like ignorance is bliss.
Will my home warranty cover that if that is in fact true? I did go like a year ago, Google murder, and then I put in my address and nothing popped up. So
that's
then
good.
I tried death, cult, nothing popped up.
Possession.
Possession. All that means is it's undiscovered.
That's true. We just don't know about it yet.
It hasn't happened yet.
Oh.
So I burned some sage and called it a day. I found
That's
my
helpful.
rosary.
Let's jump right in.
I
Sweet
think we did,
Jesus.
friend.
When did obviously we had all heard about this movie because it's in theaters now, and we saw the commercials for it, so there's no mystery.
And it's on HBO Max.
Right. I mean, truth be told, if it wasn't on HBO Max, I'm not sure I was rushing out to the theaters to see this.
Yeah, I'm basically lazy, and I still don't trust people at the theaters, even though California is completely opening up in like 3 days.
It is. Get ready.
I'm not so sure just yet.
Well, and I think it's important we talk about there's Conjuring, Conjuring 2, Conjuring the Devil Made Me Do It, but like you said, there's also I think there's like 3 Annabelle movies about the evil Raggedy Ann doll. And
it's not. I wish it was a Raggedy Ann doll. That would be funnier.
That would be cooler. Then there's The Nun, which is the spin-off of Conjuring 2.
I haven't seen that. Did you see that?
I have not seen that. And then there is, which I guess is a threadbare connection, The Curse of La Llorona.
La Llorona.
I don't know why I butchered that pronunciation. La Llorona, which means the crying woman, which is it's a folklore.
I was La Llorona for Halloween for school one time, and then I dressed all in white, and then I took mascara. I had like black face, and I'd go up to my students, mijo, mijo.
You are La Llorona cada día, as I say, every day. Okay, let's hit the highlights, or as I like to call it, what the hell is this? They jump right in with the crazy exorcism of the little 8-year-old boy.
Yeah, it makes Linda Blair seem practically sedate.
Oh, no, quite. What I kept thinking is like, it's amazing that his glasses are staying on. Because he's spazzing out.
He's going, his spine is just liquid. He's snapping and popping.
Oh, yeah. If you like contortionists whose bones crack every time they move, this is the movie for you.
No,
because this is like 5 different scenes of people cracking as they move around.
It's ridiculous. You're dead. You're dead. Unless you're like a Russian contortionist at the freak show, you're dead.
The Russian
you don't even need to say get into me, because this kid is clearly dead.
Right. You might as well just dig a hole.
The way he's twisting like a snake. I mean, you just don't do that.
Right. But that's it's like the first time you're like, ooh. The 5th time I'm less interested in the cracking contortionists. That's all I'm saying.
I know. Some weird spider walk, turning sideways. And every time someone is possessed in the movies, they always get stronger and stronger and stronger till they're finally the Hulk. I don't know.
That is the way it works. I think that's just good science. I like the
science of demonology. I think Ed and Lorraine would have signed you up.
I liked how Patrick Wilson now had like this long silver chain, like he's Lenny Ciccolone, because this is like the late 70s, I guess. Is that the style?
Now, did he look extra thin? Seemed old. I mean, I know he's older. We're all older, but he seemed extra thin.
Well, as you know, the real Warrens were older at this time than Patrick and Vera.
Oh yeah, Ed Warren looked like your crazy uncle with a leisure suit on. He's no Patrick Wilson.
No. Well, again, Patrick Wilson looked like he just got back from Studio 54 or something. I don't know what's happening.
Now Lorraine, she could rock some Lorraine. With the right hairdo and the right clothes. You can see how she is trying to look the same way. But Patrick Wilson looks nothing like Ed Warren.
Well, what's funny about Vera Farmiga is that there would be times where she'd lean into the crazy Lorraine hairstyle.
Right.
Other times she's like, no. My hair's coming down now. I'm going to be Vera for a couple scenes, okay?
And then the bun goes back up. The bun goes up with her 70s Holly Hobby outfit. She is, in fact, Lorraine Warren.
She's channeling her.
She's channeling her.
Interesting.
Although every time I see her, I just think of the mom from Bates Motel. So.
Oh, right. Okay. Of course, there's the scene where she has to climb underneath the house in the crawl space, like we talked about,
which is ridiculous.
Well, they basically had to make it so she has to do everything because, like in the first scene, Ed is having a heart attack, like a coronary or something. So he's like staggering around with like a cane. So it's always like, Lorraine, maybe you should be the one to crawl under the house this time.
And why do you think they went with this choice?
I have no idea.
Maybe Patrick Wilson just said, you know what? For what you're paying me, this is all I'm willing to do.
Well, I think they set up over the course where it's like there's three people that they're trying to possess or whatever.
Right.
They said, what was it? I don't remember. The youth, the lover, and the man of God or something.
Right.
So they decided that to fit the bill, Ed would be the man of God. I guess.
Oh yeah, because of their claim that they're the only lay people that works in exorcism with the Catholic Church.
Right. She's a medium or something, and he's the only licensed exorcist outside of the Catholic Church. But then they're constantly calling him the priest anyway, so who the hell knows? Good Lord. I can make a phone call too, Ed. Thanks a lot. Sweet Jesus. So she's crawling around under there, and of course, it's like, it's Rat City. It is rats up the yin yang. Do they seem like not animatronic, but like computer generated rats?
Yeah, I'm never quite sure. I didn't notice anything too weird. I was like, they're very well trained, but they are like little dogs. I had a friend who had a pet rat that would play catch. You could throw a paper across the room, it would run over, grab it in its teeth, and run back and give it back to you.
Was your friend Willard?
Willard.
Be honest with me. Okay, moving on.
How is it we never reviewed that movie?
Oh, we got to. There's two versions as well.
There's Willard and what was the other one called?
Ben. Ben was the sequel.
And the two of us.
That is the craziest. We got to go down this sidebar. Okay, Willard was about a nerdy guy who learns to train rats to attack his enemies, right? Then there was the sequel, which was just focusing on the big rat that Willard had trained named Ben, because he was big. Big Ben.
Big Ben.
Michael Jackson also had a rat that he named Ben, and he recorded that song Ben about his rat, and that was the love theme for the horror movie Ben.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
It sounds like a fever dream, but this is absolutely true. Good Lord. I actually like that song. That's a good song.
I know. I like that song.
You don't realize it's about a rat. The two of us need look no more.
We both found what we were
looking for. Yeah, it's a good one. It's good. It's basically, if you ever saw, there was a made-for-TV movie called like The Jackson Family or something like that, and you realize,
yes, I saw that.
You realize Michael Jackson had no friends except for this rat, and I think that it
that
ends
he found in his apartment.
That he found in his apartment, and I think the father, Joe Jackson, murdered the rat at some point. Killed the rat because the rat. In their tenement in Gary, Indiana. Good times. Okay. Moving on.
That was it. That's what all turned it all to the left.
That was it. Ball game. Sweet Jesus. What else you got in your notes? I
have this weird thing. Lorraine has Gary Oldman hair. Why did I write that?
Oh, from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Yeah, when he's old Dracula. Yes.
I thought it was weird during the exorcism that they still need to hold the book. Like they don't have this biz memorized. Like, I lost my place.
I think it's a very elaborate thing. I don't think it's just a couple passages and you're good to go. Although they make a point to say, like, clearly it's not working. Like the exorcisms don't work because it's like a curse. You know, somebody's cursing these people rather than just a random demonic possession, I guess. This is like a new twist on it. But I have to say, and I think you might agree with me on this, the moment they made a concerted effort to take it out of the haunted house. Like it's not a house, there's something else going on, basically.
Right.
But the thing about it is I found it less scary because of that.
Well, and
what
then
do you think?
There was just so much confusion. Like she chose, what's her connection to the child?
There's I wrote this down.
How was it chosen?
They made a point. She's like, why? And the old priest is like, the Satanists, there is no why. Just sowing chaos is why they do it.
But they had to have known that there was a child there for this thing to work.
Maybe they were at the grocery store and they saw some kid there and they go, that's the one. Basically, it's that thing where it's like, don't ask me no questions. That's what it is.
Then we'd have to actually explain it.
Right.
And we haven't gotten that far.
Right. They basically made this about, there's a cult. The Disciples of the Ram was an old cult that the old priest was investigating or something. And you knew that was something. The fact that he's like, I'm just trying to understand the old Satanists and what makes them tick. So beware, your obsessions become your children's obsessions as well. That's
true. Let that be a warning.
Let that be a
Kevin.
warning. Right. But when it's revealed who the occultist is, she's just lone wolf. It's just her. So who the hell knows?
Because it was a priest who had a child, the mother died, and
right.
The Catholic Church, I don't know, stuck him in a warehouse where he secretly raised the child.
It was basically the Thornbirds, is what had happened.
Oh my God.
Yes.
It was Richard Chamberlain.
It was Richard Chamberlain reprising his role. So yeah, they have the priest, and here's my question to you. I don't know this. I figured if you're a priest,
oh my God,
you're a priest.
Game of Thrones. It's Samwell. This is what eventually happens with Samwell.
Samwell Tarly. This is right. Good time.
He's at the Citadel.
But here's my question: if you're a priest, aren't you always a priest? They're like calling him father. It's like, well, he's not a priest anymore. He retired. So now he's just random Joe? Or aren't you still Father Johnson at that point?
If he retired, he's still Father something or other.
They make a point. You're like, oh, no.
If he left the church.
That's different.
That's different. And you don't just leave the church. Well, because we've had some interesting controversy going on here in my town. And you actually, your resignation has to be accepted by the Pope. So our priest literally got the letter from the Vatican accepting the resignation.
Okay. Was there a lot of occultism going on in Bakersfield?
You never know, brother. You never know.
But that's my point. Okay, priests get old and they retire.
Right.
That happens, okay? But it's not like, and now we cast you from the church, is my understanding.
No.
You've devoted your life to the church. Now hit the bricks. Is that how it works? I'm not sure. So anyway, yeah, the grand reveal is at some point he fathered a child. Did they say what happened to the mom?
She died in a car accident, or she died from something, or childbirth. Did she die in childbirth?
Who the hell knows?
I didn't care enough to write it down.
So he has this child that he's keeping from the church, keeping from everybody. He's raising it in solitude at this farm warehouse that he makes a point that he says, like, the church, like anything that they find uncomfortable, they send here. Like, Okay.
What, the pedo priest? It's
That's
the
what I'm asking.
That's what I kept thinking. Is it
John
the pedo
Mapplethorpe
priest?
artwork? I mean, what's happening? I mean, they're kind of sketchy about it. But
did I tell you when I was in London, Mom's like, you need to go see the Mapplethorpe exhibition. I'm like, what you know about the Mapplethorpe, Mother?
clearly not a lot. That would be my guess. But yeah, when Ed and Lorraine visit the old crazy farmhouse and he's leading them down into the basement, Lorraine is like, "Oh, I don't want to go down there." Like that was kind of like a tip off. They weren't really hiding that much from us. You know, we knew something was up with the old priest, or at least underneath the catacombs of the old priest's house, right? She knew something was up. We don't know exactly what's up. So this is the whole thing. This isn't like there's the old witch who haunts the house. There is a person who takes these weird totems and hides them in people's houses.
Like under their beds or something.
And I guess under their beds. And what happens is it drives the person to murder somebody around them and then forces them to commit suicide. Now, why? There is no why. There is no why, because Satanists just like to stir up some shit. It's
so why
the moral of the story.
She summoned the demon to get something?
I don't think they tell us.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't think they tell us. And they literally say, like, because later when they turn again, when they foil her plans, Ed goes, "You promised that demon a soul, and he's come to collect," or something like that. So that's why she bites the dust at the end. Spoiler
There's
alert.
a lot of vagary. They could be a little bit more specific. That would have been a little bit more story.
That would be helpful. That would be helpful. Because you're right. It's just kind of like she has this plan. Her victims are seemingly chosen at random. But not that random, because, like you said, the little boy is possessed.
Right. It has to follow a course. So she has to have been, like you said, cruising the Walmart or whatever.
She's hitting the Walmart.
Checking people off the list. Like she had to have known that the third one was going to be the Warrens rolling up.
Right. And you know what? It just occurred to me. It's like, what was the connection between the young girls in the woods? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like you said, we need the little boy. We need the little boy. We need the young lovers, which is the guy who said, "Come into me," and his girlfriend, I guess. And we need the man. Another exact same MO. And a nearby two girls, one stabs her friend and then I guess jumps off and I guess there's no connection. She was just futzing around.
So that makes no sense. So again.
And it was the same occultist, because they go basically, they're like, okay, well, let's find out if there's any connections. I love what's funny to me is that Ed and Lorraine are supposedly helping because the guy's been arrested for murder, right? They, I guess, live in a kennel. That's what they establish. And the weird old creepy guy who's their landlord was playing his Blondie too loud. And it drove Arnie to homicidal rage.
That's right. He had a heart of glass. That's the problem.
Ah, that's right.
Ba-boom, boom.
That's right. So then so this is all based upon this is a real case. And the things that are locked in fact, what really happened is there was a young boy who they claimed was possessed by the devil. The Warrens were involved. The sister's boyfriend, in a selfless act, says, "Come into me." And then eventually he murders his landlord.
Okay, we don't really know if he said "come into me," but the facts are there was an exorcism,
right?
And the boyfriend killed his landlord.
That's correct.
After that, witches, totems, raising children in the pedo convent or monastery, all fiction. As one does with the Conjuring series.
They do.
Based on true stories.
Real events. It's like Law and Order.
Yeah.
It is. What's notable about the story is the fact that this is the first time in American history that people went to trial for this guy's, being a murderer, And they wanted to offer the defense of not guilty by reason of demonic possession. That's what they were trying to do.
When the dude killed the mayor of San Francisco and was trying to do the Twinkie defense,
he did do the Twinkie defense.
I know, but he didn't go. His attorney didn't say we plead not guilty by reason of Twinkie.
Well, I think they said like temporary insanity.
Exactly. There's no going before the judge and saying not guilty by reason of demonic possession.
Well, I think they tried to pull that, and the judge just said, "Yeah, negative."
They slapped that
negative
down.
Ghost Rider. Yeah, exactly. You could bring in the warrant, and I guess I looked this up. I guess Ed was able to testify, but only as a character witness.
Of course.
He wasn't able to bring in.
I'm an expert in the field of demonic possession.
Is that Marvin the Martian?
No, it's I'm possessed now. Just talking about it.
Oh no!
I'm like, Willie, look under the house. I'm gonna have my son look under my bedroom, see if there's a totem.
The power of Christ compels you.
Oh, it does. It do.
Very upsetting. No, and the judge basically said like, there's no way we can prove this or disprove this. So there's no point in having anybody even introduce. I mean, Ed Warren can walk in and spout some nonsense, but how do we know?
It's not going to be like Miracle on 34th Street, where the post office delivers letters to Santa Claus.
Or Santa Claus, as he's called.
We can't summon the Dark Lord right here in the courtroom.
Right, exactly. If you can do that, maybe we'll hear your arguments, but no can do. Sweet Jesus. Trying to think what else we need here. Oh, yeah. So later, when they discover the body, it's always helpful when you have Lorraine there. She can like touch things. Now we're seeing like her visions of what happened in the past and all this stuff. So she's able to solve the murder and the missing girls in the nearby community or whatever. And she's touching the clammy like corpse hand.
Oh yeah, it's all like bloated and swollen from being out in the water. It's all.
And that's when we realize, oh, there's actually an occultist with her altar who's cursing people, who's planting these totems under people's houses to get them to be possessed to do their, I don't know, to commit their murder-suicide.
And the totem is disgusting. What is it, like a jawbone flower? I don't know what the hell it is.
Some kind of crazy thing. Who the hell knows?
It's super creepy.
Yeah, it's something. Something's going on. And I kept thinking to myself, they broke in to is it the morgue? They break into the morgue and they're just bodies just out. And I kept thinking, don't they need to refrigerate some of these?
Man.
They just leave them out overnight like an old turkey? Is that how it works?
Don't eat that! You're going to get the botulism.
Well, it isn't. Put them in the freezer. I mean, I don't know. Look, I'm not a medical examiner.
I thought it was a refrigerated room, but that's just me.
Well, they didn't seem like, oh, I better put on my sweater. Give me a line where you're like, oh, it's cold in here. Give me something.
Brr.
It show is cold in here. Give me something. And then, of course, like a zombie jumps up from the table.
Well, then they established that not only can Lorraine, the portal goes both ways.
Right.
So if there's a connection, then it's a two-way door. So the demon can, or the witch lady can also see on the other side.
Right. So, because she touches the body, she opens up a link so she can see everything that the witch woman can see. But you're right. Now the witch woman's aware of them. So now, watch out.
But the witch woman already had to have been aware because she was already working on this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Who the hell? Okay. So Arnie is like in the psychiatric hospital. At one point, they're having him like mop up. They're putting him to work or whatever in the middle of the night where they're like sleeping patients in the room. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it's stupid.
And he's like crashing into things. It's just like the lady's yelling at him. Get back to work. I'm like, people are trying to sleep in this room.
It was all ding dong daddy.
No wonder they're insane. Good Lord. And later, so the demon's trying to repossess Arnie. And the kindly priest walks in and hands him a glass vial of holy water. Here, You may need this. Why not just give him a cross? Why don't we give him a glass bottle of holy water, which, of course, later when he's possessed, he breaks it and tries to slit his wrist with the glass. Isn't that convenient?
Isn't that convenient?
Good times.
I would
anything
say,
else you want to talk about? Go for it.
Most of my notes are just weird criticisms. So, like, when Lorraine is crawling under the house, she's wearing a skirt. You cannot crawl in a skirt.
No, you can't, can you? Pull your skirt off.
You would walk out of your skirt. You just can't move forward. So you would have to either be on your bare knees or with her, I guess, nylons or whatever.
Right.
It's impossible. So clearly this was a man's decision. I wonder how long it took him to realize you can't crawl in a skirt. Wouldn't the home inspector notice the Satan cross? Or the Satan totem under the bedroom. Since
they're selling the
moved
house.
in.
Yes, I see.
They just moved in. And
I think it's a rental, actually. It was a rental.
Is it a rental? Because I was like, wouldn't the home inspector? I mean, my home inspector went under the house to check for, dry rot. Wouldn't they notice the demon skull thing there?
That's a good. Well, here's my question. I don't know if I want the secondhand waterbed that the previous tenant left.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
weird.
The swinging single. It's like, okay, this thing's been cursed.
The decomp stain at the end of the bed. I was like, what?
Well, you hope that's what it is.
Dude, I am on this Facebook group called Things Found in Walls.
Yes.
And these people moved into this rental. They took a picture. They were rearranging the furniture in a furnished rental. And you could see the decomp of the previous owner. There was just an outline on the wood floor that was covered up with a rug.
Lovely. Just like the Warrens discovered.
Woo!
People are like, just throw the rug on it. You're good.
And then the other thing, which was completely ridiculous. So in the old priest's house, which is like some little farmhouse, right?
Yeah.
So under the floor is Roman ruins.
It's a very old farmhouse.
I mean, from the dawn of time, it's clearly a portal to Caligula's time. I'm like, how is this underneath your farmhouse with arches and pillars? And how did this lady get this altar down there? Because there's like a cultist movers, or how did any of this come to be?
Right, a huge concrete altar. Good times.
I mean, literally, you're like in the catacombs in Rome is what is under this farmhouse. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Okay, let me blow your mind here. Okay.
All right, lay it on me.
So, at the beginning of the movie, Arnie goes up to the little boy and says, come into me, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so that's when he gets possessed?
Right.
So then why is there a totem under the house? Wait, why is he possessed? Because he said, come into me? Or because he has a totem underneath his house?
I thought it was because he said, come into me.
Right, so then why do they need a totem under there? Questions we may never know the answer to.
To possess the little kid.
No, I'm not talking about, because there was a totem under both houses.
Oh, shit.
At least I think there was. Maybe I'm mistaken. No, because they were crawling underneath the kennel house, weren't they? Or maybe they weren't. Maybe that answers everything.
Oh, geez, Louise.
Who the hell
What
knows?
you're hearing from this, in the chronology of the Conjuring movies, this one makes the least sense.
Right.
And there's no reason for it. Because, honestly, don't people read scripts and then say, but what about this? But what about this?
Well, the first one makes the most sense.
Yes.
Where it's like very much like there was a witch that lived here. We know exactly what happened in this property. This is the chronology of it. A new family moves in. Bad things happen.
Right.
Second movie, suddenly we're kind of going off the rails a little bit. Now there's like a demon nun and some weird, long guy with long legs running around. Who are these people?
That's the Enfield one, right?
Right, Enfield poltergeist. But there's no explanation. There was no murder in the house.
Right. But the beauty of that one is they have all that video. So if you wanted to deep dive, you could listen to videos on YouTube of the real people. So that was fantastic.
But there are questions that are never explained because we know it was basically a hoax.
Right.
in reality. So that's the thing about that one.
As this one is also.
Right. But what they did was, where the other ones, they kind of took what they had and maybe added a little flourishes here and there.
Right.
This one, there was basically a court case. And they're like, well, we're going to use this as a seed from which we will grow an entire mythology that we're making up.
Well,
basically.
And then I don't understand why they never really they briefly touched on Amityville in one of the previous ones, but that could have been a flourish. I mean, they could have taken the idea of Amityville. I mean, since this is all creative writing, they could have expanded their roles in Amityville.
Well, what's interesting, they kind of, in the first two movies, they kind of set the pattern of how they tell the story. In the previous two movies, there was always like, here's this unrelated case that we kind of touch on. Here's the Annabelle case that we're kind of going to touch on briefly. Second movie, here's the Amityville case that we're going to touch on briefly before we go into our main story.
Right.
This movie, they didn't do that. They abandoned that kind of pattern that they had done before. And I don't know if they just ran out of cases.
I wonder, because this is going to be the last one.
Because of his heart? Because it's like, oh, I can't take it anymore.
Because he was so popular in Hard Candy that, yeah, he knows.
Hard Candy was years before this. Sweet Lord. Yeah, Patrick Wilson basically did Hard Candy when he was like, I want people to see my work and get to know me. That was like one of his first roles. Good times. Anywho, neither here nor there. Some of the issues I think we're seeing is that, number one, this movie was not directed by the same guy who directed the other movies.
Clearly.
And it wasn't written by the same people who wrote. Like, I think the basic story was written by the same guy, but the actual screenplay was written by somebody new.
Yeah.
So
Clearly.
Right.
And once again, I don't know how things are made in Hollywood. Does no one from the outside look at a script and say, but what about this? What about this? Why does that happen? They're spending millions and millions of dollars. No one looks at this and say, but this doesn't make sense. And this is just a quick little bit, change this. It makes sense. I find that so irritating that so much money is spent and no one fixes these problems.
I think what often happens is, I want to compare it to A Bridge Too Far, where there's so many working pieces and nobody wants to be the one person to gum up the works. So people just kind of bite their tongue and don't say anything.
No.
If you ever saw
ridiculous.
that movie, there's a lot of that going on. Where people are just
that is A Bridge Too Far. I am not watching that.
You should watch it. It's a great movie. If you like war films, Sean Connery's in it, Anthony Hopkins.
I think your preface, if you like war films, sums it up.
It is classic.
Once again, I saw All's Quiet on the Western Front, and I decided
different movie.
I'm not going to watch another war movie. That was enough.
That's all you need.
That, and It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. That just sealed it. I'm never watching a war movie again.
Do you have any other what the hell moments that you want to talk about?
I don't understand why they take souvenirs and why would, of all the souvenirs in this movie, why would it be a weird chalice and not the
I thought
totem?
about that. I don't think they're meant to be trophies. I think the idea is we're taking this cursed item and locking it up in our vault.
But locking it up so well that in the second movie, the babysitter just opens the door and unleashes a demon in the house.
Yeah, that ain't good.
How about we just burn all this shit and melt it down and bury it in the bottom of a well?
That's a good question. But you're right when you say they seemingly take a weird chalice that we'd seen in the scenes but didn't seem to have any special significance other than it's being used in a satanic ritual, but not the totems that actually bestow the curses.
Exactly. It'd be like if you were investigating Annabelle, but instead of taking Annabelle, you took like the teacup that was next to her and locked that in the sink.
And let Annabelle run off. That's right. Are you ready for behind the scenes?
Oh, I'm ready. Oh, I just have one thing about the real story. basically all the people had come out and had said Ed and Lorraine were pushing them to do this demonic possession. That they're like, no, that's not happened. None of this happened. That Ed and Lorraine were just like, we're gonna write a book. You'll make a fortune. But they're like, but that's not what happened.
Well, and she's on record, Lorraine Warren, saying, hey, have we written a book? No. Will we write a book? Yes. Will we sell the rights to the book? Yes, we will. Will we make a movie? Of course we will.
Yes.
Have we done anything? We haven't done it yet, but this is definitely our plan.
Yeah.
Couple things. So at the end of the movie, there's he was sentenced to 5 years for manslaughter. Not true. He was sentenced to 20 years for manslaughter. However, he did only serve 5 years. Basically, they tried to make it seem like he was kind of, if only they would have let us bring in this information about the demonic possession, it would have been a slap. It was still a slap on the wrist. Yeah. No, it wasn't a slap on the wrist. It's like, I'm trying to think of A Few Good Men. If at the end, what is he? Jack Nicholson is basically declared innocent. They're like, sorry, you didn't prove your case, Tom Cruise. That's basically what this movie is.
Yeah.
He's innocent. Lorraine Warren was the head consultant on all these movies, but she died prior to this one. So maybe that's the issue. That she wasn't there to kind of guide the ship.
Bad writing is not because Lorraine Warren wasn't there.
That wasn't what it was? That wasn't what we were missing? There's a scene at the beginning of the movie where Father Gordon arrives to actually do the exorcism. And it is absolutely a direct homage to The Exorcist.
Right.
Like the cab pulls up, he steps out under the street light.
100%.
No question. Originally, this movie was going to be called The Conjuring 3. And they changed the title to The Devil Made Me Do It because that was what they called this trial from 1981. The Devil Made Me Do It trial.
They could have called it The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It.
I guess they didn't want to do it like that.
They didn't want to add the one extra digit.
Well, I think it was because they felt they were making a turn. Because it's no longer the haunted house. But we've talked about this before. Why is it called The Conjuring?
Right.
What is it that's being conjured?
In this case, there was a conjuring.
There was some conjuring.
There was some conjuring, unlike the other ones.
Wah, wah, wah.
Conjugoo. Conjugoo.
It was Conjugoo? That's what they should have called it. The Conjuring 3, Conjugoo.
Yay.
There it is. Let me see. This is the second movie about the Brookfield murder that happened in 1981. The first was a movie called The Demon Murder Case that came out in 1983.
I think I saw a different one. Wasn't there another one based on this?
I think there were some like made-for-TV kind of documentary.
I think I saw like the made-for-TV one.
Yeah.
But I can't. I'm blanking out on the name, and I literally am done with my notes. Most of it were like, "You can't crawl in a skirt."
Underlined, circled.
House of Lies. I don't care if it is polyester and slippy slidey. No, you can't do it.
Good polyester. With each Conjuring movie, they kind of expand Lorraine's like psychic abilities. It's like Scanners, where every time we see like a different power emerges, she's gonna be like lifting items and with her mind and telekinesis in the next movie, evidently.
It is, and then she'll just be flying and astral projecting. It's all coming.
She's basically Professor X at this stage of the game. This is the fourth movie that shows Father Gordon arriving. He was in The Conjuring, Conjuring 2, and Annabelle Comes Home.
Yawn.
So that means he's been in more movies than Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. So there you go. Like I said, different writer, different director. James Wan, who was the original creative force, still is a producer, but who's to say how much actual input he had in this?
Yeah, executive producer.
The director of this is the same director from The Curse of La Llorona. So
Yeah.
they liked his work in that.
Yeah, and let me tell you, while I
Please.
only saw half of La Llorona, it was pretty shit. It was shit.
And I think there were actually two different La Llorona movies that came out within a year of each other. It's like The Curse of La Llorona and then just La Llorona.
Okay, no, I don't know which one I saw. One of them had recognizable people in it. That's the
Not to
one
be
I saw.
confused with My Sharona.
My Llorona. No.
Debbie and Arnie, the young, loving couple in this movie, claim that everything in this is absolutely true, and they're still married years later. So there you go. It was love at first sight. There you go.
Wait, they have come out and said this whole thing is a scam. So now you're telling me now they're saying that it's not?
Well, I don't know which they said first. Which should they say first? I think what it was is the brother, I think, of the possessed boy at the beginning, David Glatzel. He came out and said it's Clyde Gatzel came out and said it's BS. But the guy convicted of manslaughter said no, really was possessed. I was possessed.
Yeah. It sounds like I was possessed by alcohol and got into a drunken fight with my landlord, whereas I killed him.
Well, and that's the real thing that was happening is that I guess the landlord was acting inappropriately, and they got into an argument, and it ended with him being stabbed 20 times by Arnie.
Yeah,
in the
20
movie,
times is a lot.
20 times is a lot. In the movie, Arnie is having some kind of a psychic break while Bruno, I guess his name is, the landlord, is trying to dance with Debbie while Call Me by Blondie is blasting. And it drives poor Arnie over the edge.
Yeah,
it's a lot of...
The way the demon works, because the same thing happened with Lorraine's character. So when you're possessed, you're seeing something else. So
right.
He's seeing the landlord as a demon coming at him. Ed sees Lorraine as like the demon coming at him.
Right.
And then, of course, after you've killed him, then you see what you've really done.
Right. So that's the thing. It's like you see something, so you're trying to kill something other than what you're actually killing.
Right.
I guess is what it is.
You think the demon's coming at you, and it's not. It's really not the demon.
Do you know what's interesting? As I was watching this movie, I kept going, because this is the first movie where there's actually like a human antagonist that they are like battling with. The rest of them, it's just ghosts and demons and stuff. So you throw a couple exorcisms at them and you're good to go. It's like, what are they gonna do with this woman? Are they gonna murder the occultist at the end of this movie? But then, of course, they kind of had a Deus Ex Machina where she's bitten by her own snake, figuratively, where it's like, oh, because we foiled your plan, the demon's gonna take you to demon world or whatever. So good time, because you can't when they arrest the occultist, occultist didn't do anything other than plants, I guess, trespassing.
I want to see that trial. Put some handcuffs on her. Let's see that trial. Try to prove
Let's see what happens.
Try to prove that bullshit.
That's right. The little boy, David Glatzel, was played by an actor named Julian Hilliard, who was in The Haunting of Hill House. If you ever saw that on Netflix, the series, he was the young boy. He was one of the young children in that movie.
Okay.
What's interesting, we talked about how in this movie there's a lot of like crackling and contorting. They actually hired contortionists.
Of course.
None of it is done with computer generated. The only computer generating is that they put the little boy's face on the contortionist's body when it's doing all the weird rolling on the table thing.
Right.
So there you go. Because that's what I'm like, they must hire contortionists because this is ridiculous. I mean, there must be people who are like, look, I'm an actor, but I specialize in contorting my body. I can't memorize lines. I can't deliver lines with any degree of believability, but I can crackle my body in weird shapes. Where do I sign?
And honestly, they used a contortionist, but there was also using CGI because, contortionists are still human.
They're not human. They are not human.
They're the reptilian.
They are absolutely reptilian. I think that's about it. Let's talk about the cast. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
we talked about Patrick Wilson. I swear we've done about 20 movies where Patrick Wilson is the star of the movie.
It's true.
You know him from The Phantom of the Opera,
Hard Candy.
Insidious, all the Conjuring movies. He's the world's hardest working show business actor. There you go.
Exactly.
Vera Farmiga plays Lorraine. You know her from Up in the Air, The Departed, Bates Motel.
Motel. Highly recommend.
Good times. The guy who played Arnie, his name, I can't even pronounce. It's like Ruairi O'Connor. He must be Irish.
Yeah.
I don't know any of these things. He's in The Conjuring. The devil made me do it. Good times. The crazy old priest, Kastner, was played by John Noble. He was Denethor in the Lord of the Rings movies. There you go.
Who's Denethor?
He was the old steward of Gondor, who tries to light his son on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Right. His children are Boromir and Faramir, if that helps you. Probably not.
I only watched that biz once.
There you go.
That's always it's kind of weird, like the whole Hagrid thing, because I remember Robbie Coltrane from the Cracker series, which is deep and dark and upsetting and disturbing, and then to see him as happy old Hagrid, it was very, very strange.
I was laughing because I saw this movie, I think it was in 1983, called Krull. And it's kind of a science fiction sword and sandals kind of movie.
Sword and sandals, is that a terminology?
It is.
That's fantastic. I've never heard that before.
Sword and sandals typically refer to Conan the Barbarian type movies. But this has kind of a sci-fi edge to it. Like there are aliens and anyway, from 83, and then you're watching, you're like, is that Liam Neeson in this?
What?
Is that Robbie Coltrane in this? It was literally British actors who you don't know yet, but will one day become famous, basically, is what it is.
Oh, how funny.
Good times. I don't think I need to talk about any of these other people. They're the hardest working men in show business.
We've said too much already.
We've said too much already. Let's talk about the rating. Are you ready?
All right.
On Rotten Tomatoes, they give this movie 57% rotten.
Yeah.
On Rotten Tomatoes. Very upsetting. So there you go. Not a shocker. Not a shocker.
I'm going to give it a lower rating because my expectations were high because I really liked the other two. I highly recommended the other two.
I feel like we're being very harsh. This movie is not total crap. It's just not as good as previous Conjurings.
And that's the thing. And that's why we need to be harsher, I think.
Okay.
Because now they're trying to get away with shit. I think it's like when you go to the nail salon and the first couple times you go, the lady does fantastic work. And the more you go, now you're waiting a little bit longer. Now the polish they're not spending quite the same amount of time because they figure they got you.
It's like a relationship.
It's
you don't send me flowers.
You don't entertain me anymore.
Pretty much.
So let me see here. So I am going to give this thing 2 3/4 Patrick Wilson hard candy getting his testicles whacked.
Out of 5?
Out of 5.
I'm going to give it 3 spine-cracking contortionists out of 5. I thought it was okay. Not as good as the previous entries. Not horrifically. We've seen some horrible shit on this show. This ain't in that level. No. It's just disappointing.
Yeah, it's a definite slide. It's a definite slide, and this by far is the worst slide. I'll watch the other two again. I don't think I'll probably watch this again.
Well, and again, not scary.
Not scary. Yeah,
not even a little bit.
I didn't feel tense at all.
No. Well, and that's the thing. The first Conjuring, I was talking to Becky about this. The first Conjuring movie was really scary.
Yeah.
Was really scary. And I'm a grown man. I can handle my business. And this was creepy.
100%. I think the key is how many times did I pick up my phone while I watched it to just look at bullshit on Facebook rather than stare at the screen?
Right. That is true too.
Because there's
that is the curse.
definitely movies where I was like, oh shit, do I need to rewind that? Did something happen?
You were fast forwarding this one?
I was basically fast forwarding this because I was like, oh.
Very
What?
upsetting.
Yeah. Because Facebook is boring as hell. So if this is less interesting than Facebook, we got a problem. We got a problem.
But if you can see it for free on HBO Max,
that's what I'm saying. Did I want to spend $20 to go and then buy some bullshit popcorn that gives you, I don't know, spastic colon? No. But since it was on HBO, why not?
Why not? I think it's there for like, I don't know, until 4th of July, something like that. And then it'll go away. So
100%. Yeah.
So thank you very much. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcast, TW Die. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Email us at thepodcastthatwouldn'tdie@gmail. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more recently, we're on Podchaser, and we're on Good Pods.
I have never heard of those.
No offense if you're listening. So check that out.
Why are we not on SoundCloud?
I don't know. SoundCloud has different rules and regulations. So
Where's our Patreon account? Why aren't we getting money? Do we have to have listeners before you can get the money?
It's a hard road, but step one is listeners. So there you go. Aaron, you're on social media. What's the word?
Indeedly do I am. I am the cult of Aaron. Join the cult. I am on the Twitski and the Insta.
So check it out.
I am not on the Tick or the Talk. I am not on the Snap or the Chat.
Good times. Good times. You're not on QAnon Monthly?
I'm not on the Parlay or the Parlor. Just say no.
Just say no. So thank you very much and be well.